This little drone that I hold in my hand, it claims to have a 2-axis stabilized gimbal, brushless motors, optical flow position hold, and 3-way obstacle avoidance, all for $35. Come on, it's got to be a scam, right? Stay tuned and we'll find out. So I was browsing on the Temu app the other day, about 2 weeks ago, and I came across this little drone. This is an F199 or F199 drone. And I was like, wow, you know, a brushless powered drone for 35 bucks, that's pretty good. I mean, you can find a few of them, but it's pretty rare at this price point. But more importantly, it claimed to have a 2-axis gimbal, obstacle avoidance, and optical flow. And it doesn't have GPS, but hey, for $35, you can't expect that. But I thought, is any of this true? Well, I'll tell you what, all of it is except for one. And I think you'll be pleasantly surprised by this little drone. Now, the one thing that it doesn't have that it says it does, and it's probably the feature that you guys are most going to want, and that's a 2-axis gimbal. It does have a 2-axis powered camera, but it's not stabilized. If you listen to it, and hopefully it'll pick up near my mic, you can hear it's got little servo powered, brush motor powered camera controls. But you can, of course, adjust the pitch, which you expect. You can also adjust the roll, which is just weird because it's not stabilized. If I turn this drone on, which I'll show you guys whenever we get ready to fly it, and I move it around, the camera doesn't adjust with the gyro and try to stabilize. It does none of that. And the thing is lots of times these websites and apps will put listing information that's really, really wrong to try to make sales. It's common in China. It's not excusable, but it happens. But this one actually does say on the box, and I'll show you guys, 2-axis self-stabilization here. I don't know how well that'll show up down in the bottom corner. So they really are trying to say that it's stabilized on the gimbal, but it doesn't. And the funny thing is, the controller in here, you can adjust the roll while you're flying. Now, why would you want to tilt the roll on the camera and make it crooked? It makes no sense. Like, you're not going to be able to stabilize it in real time manually while you're flying. It's impossible. So I don't know why they have that on there. I understand the pitch. You want to look down, look up with the camera. But the sideways roll adjustment is just bizarre. It's like someone thought, oh, let's put roll controls and then we'll just secretly say it's stabilized, but it's not. Now, aside from that, everything else that it does advertise, it actually does do. It has brushless motors. Let's fold it out here. And this is a pretty lightweight drone. I haven't weighed this, but I'm certain it's on under 250 grams. But you do have these brushless motors here. And now this is only powered on a 1S LiPo, and I'll show you that. It only comes with one. It's a 1800 milliamp hour 1S LiPo. That charges off USB. But yeah, these are pretty powerful, and it moves along pretty decently for brushless on 1S LiPo, because you have optical flow, which I'll show you in a second, and that's going to have to. The drone can't go too quick for optical flow to work. Again, I kind of wish it didn't have the optical flow, so it could be even sportier. But yeah, you get the brushless motors, pretty powerful. Here is an optical flow. It's this camera right over here, and it does work. When I put my hand underneath it, and I'll try to demonstrate that in the flight review, it will follow my hand, so you know that it is working. Now, it also has that obstacle avoidance that I mentioned. There's infrared sensors on the sides and on the front. Now, there's none in the rear, none on the top or bottom, that will sense an object. Now, keep in mind, infrared, if it picks up sunlight and such, it can interfere. But under most circumstances, it will sense it and then it'll fly back. Now, you have to enable that mode. You have to turn that on the controller. So by default, it's turned off. So it won't work unless you do turn that on by pressing a button on the controller. So that will turn the obstacle avoidance on, and it's pretty cool. It'll flash and then it'll back up. So that's pretty darn cool. And it does have some really cool RGB lighting. This whole top here and the front will light up, and it will cycle through some really cool RGB lights. And then off to the side from the optical flow, there's a very bright white LED, and then the motor, under the motor, on the arms, not the motor pods, the arms each have LED lights as well. Now, you get a carrying case with this, which is pretty nice, again for 35 bucks. And you get a controller that seems to be rather unique to this drone because it has those roll controls on the controller, but you wouldn't expect other drones would have that since it's really bizarre. The wind's blowing everything around here. But you have your roll and your pitch controls on here. You have your phone clip holder. You have your auto takeoff and landing. This button over here is the one that you long press to turn on and off obstacle avoidance. Your on and off switch. Up here is like your 360 flips. So this drone will do that. I don't think I've tested that yet, but I will certainly in the video. I did do a test flight with this yesterday, that's why I'm kind of familiar with everything. And you got your 3 speed rates here, your low, medium, and high. And this drone uses that Wi-Fi UAV app, which is pretty common, and that's the one you use to connect. And you'll see it doesn't have the any stabilization. They also advertise EIS. It doesn't have electronic image stabilization either. That would be done within the app, and it absolutely doesn't do that. But I thought the video looked pretty decent. It's going to rock around a little bit with the drone, but otherwise it was pretty good, and the drone flies fantastic. It's a super fun drone, very responsive, agile. Obstacle when it works, optical flow works, the brushless motors are great. For 35 bucks, I think this might be the best drone I've ever seen at this price point. I can't think of anything that comes close, even with the fact that 2X gimbal is a fraud. So, as you guys will see in the flight review, I highly recommend this. I don't call this a scam at all. They're just lying about the gimbal, which unfortunately on these Chinese vendors stuff, this is par for the course. I'm surprised that it's not all a lie when only one thing was. All right, that should be enough jibber jabber, and let's get this drone up in the air and see how it flies. So I'll be right back. Okay, so the F199 is connected, and we got it set up with the app here, connected to the Wi-Fi from the drone as well. And let's go and start recording some video, and let's get this in the air because we have quite a few things that we want to test on this drone. So let's just start recording some video. And it dings, so we should have some video going now. Let's go ahead and take it up in the air. We can just go ahead and just give it a little bit of throttle, and it'll fire up, and then go ahead and give it some more throttle. Now the first thing I want to test is that optical flow. Now there's a decent amount of wind today. You can see it's really wanting to try to fly over to the sides. Let's go into the higher speed rate here so we have a lot more power. That could be the optical flow. I flew it yesterday evening and it was pretty calm. But boy, it really is wanting to float to the right a bit there, but that's the wind blowing from left to right. So optical flow is going to struggle with that. Let's get down here though and see if we can get it to fall on my hand. It did it yesterday. If it doesn't do it today, it's because of the wind. You have to take my word for it. It's just the wind is really causing the drone to. Let's see if I can get over here. See there, it's trying to work. And it is moving with my hand now. Yep. See? The optical flow absolutely works. The drone's just fighting a little bit of the wind trying to do that. All right, the next thing I want to do is let's do some 360 flips so we have sufficient battery power. So let's take it up here and press the button. And I figured it would flip really well because of the brushless motors. Yeah, that flips great. And you don't have to worry on brushless motors. You're not going to burn them out from doing flips like you would on the brush motors. That can really strain them. All right, the next thing let's do, let's go over here and let's try that obstacle avoidance. And I'm going to take it here into the shade. We don't have to worry about the sun. And I realize the camera on my head here may not show this stuff so well when it gets dark, the osmo action, you kind of lose some detail. But hopefully the drone will show enough. I also want you guys to see those LED lights. Let's turn it around here. It may not show up too well. I mean, the LED lights are turned on. Let's make sure they're on. Yeah, I can see them going there. You can disable them with that the same button that turns the obstacle avoidance on and off. Let's go ahead and long press that. Now that is in obstacle avoidance mode. Look, I got full pitch. This is barely moved. So keep in mind, it's very slow. I'm gonna get above the glass because it's not gonna work right against a window. Let's see what happens if I fly forward here. It should sense it. Now it can be a little bit, it's not perfect. But it definitely is in that mode because the lights are flashing. Let's ease it forward again. And the wind is really, there we go. Hear that? It sensed it. And it's backing up. Let's try it on the side. Again, the wind is really wreaking havoc today. It's not a terrible wind, but again, this mode is so slow that you can't handle much. Let's ease up here. It is not, it's not seeing it there all the time. It definitely works. I tested it and it worked perfect every time yesterday. Oop. Yeah, let's get it over there. Let's kick it out of that mode. So I did not want to crash it into the house. Let's bring it back. It definitely works, guys. I tested it a bunch. It's just the lighting or something, I don't know. So I'm facing away. Let's back it up here. Turn it around. This is, I mean, this is an awesome little flyer. Not sure what's going on here. I think I'm in headless mode. Let's get this drone back in here. Let's start recording some video again. Let's go ahead and give us some throttle. I don't know how it got into headless mode, but I think it's okay now. Let's go ahead and get it up into the higher rate. It flies great. Let's show you just some of the gimbal tilt or the camera tilt there. So you can tilt it down. So the optical flow works pretty good, but it takes a little time because that wind is really, now we can look down. The wind is not terrible today, but this is, you gotta remember, this is just a 1S LiPo, so that's not the greatest for brushless. And here is that left and right. You can see, look at that. You can tilt the, it's just so silly. Why would you want to do that? We could try to test that optical avoidance again here before we end the video. But yeah, everything else works great. I just think for 35 bucks is awesome. I know that this flight review is probably not showcasing it as greatly as it would have if I done it last night when the wind was really calm. The wind is really, you know, it's wreaking a little havoc at times. Mostly we're trying to demonstrate the obstacle avoidance because it was, you know, it's just blowing it around. I don't want to crash it into the house, and it came very close to doing that. Man, this thing flies great. I just can't think of anything $35 that comes anywhere near this because I've had I reviewed a drone recently. It was $200 snap tame with brushless motors that does not as good as this. The camera might have been a hair better. It was similar. It didn't, you know, it was motorized, but it didn't have obstacle avoidance. It had GPS. But I mean, I think for $35, I mean, there's no reason to get that drone unless you have to have the return to home and stuff. If you could find a let, if you could get a let up here in the wind, I would really love to try the obstacle avoidance again because it should work okay over here. Okay, that's the, now that should be turning the lights on and off. Let's long press this again. Now we got the flashing lights. And if we ease this up, it should back up. But again, it's making me nervous because it's the wind. It's just, the drone is so, yeah, let's do a long press again and try to get out of that. It seems like we're okay. Now we're not in headless mode. I mean, that's not even the headless mode button, so. And I'm not gonna, the reason why I'm not trying on the fence is the glare of the fence is gonna cause obstacle avoidance all kinds of problems. You typically want a shaded area. It could be the green of the house. It was working really well in the front of my house yesterday. But it absolutely worked great. It's just gonna depend on lighting conditions and obviously the solid color, depending on the color, can cause problems. Let's go ahead and land it. I don't know how much battery we got left here, but maybe I'll try to take it around front because I really would like to demonstrate the obstacle avoidance better. So let me go ahead and take it around front, fire it up, and see if I have any better luck with the obstacle avoidance there. So I think the problem is we have the glare of the sun, so that may cause problems as well. Okay, real quick guys, I noticed as I was getting ready to go to the front, look at the cool rainbow patterns it's got going. I've not seen it do that before, so it could be something to do with that light button I hit with the lights. It's probably doing some sort of light controls. I may have missed that in the instructions. So that's cool. It typically just kind of cycles through your different colors. And I think what I've done is let me try pressing that button again. Let's see if that does anything. Yeah. Now we got it on. Now we got like a breathing effect. And now I got the rainbows, I think. Yeah. There we go. Hitting it again. So yeah, that's your light. This button gives you different LED light combinations, and you hit enough times it will turn them off. I think the instructions just labeled it as on and off. So that's cool. Now you got some like rainbow effects on the top. This is just such a cool drone for 35 bucks. Let's take it up front and see if the obstacle avoidance will work better out there. All right guys, before I start here in the front, you can see the drone up here. Maybe this is a neighbor boy. I gave him a Holy Stone and he's really getting good at it. And he's only like, I think 9. He's having a blast flying that drone. All right, so I got the F199 out here in the front. Let's try flying up towards the brick here and see if we can get this to do the obstacle avoidance out here. So yeah, I don't know how much battery we got. So let's go ahead and switch into that mode. Boy, I said it's so little pitch. Like I just trying to get it to move to the left with the wind. It's just impossible at times. Let's just see, will it work? Yeah, I think it's just the glare. Yeah, it's not working because of the glare. It's flashing it. Like I said, you have to take my word for it. We saw it work once. It worked really well for me yesterday evening. It absolutely works, but you're gonna realize you can't really rely on that mode because of the lighting conditions. It should have worked better in the back, but I don't know, I just didn't want to. Let's get out of it now. And we got low battery now. So yeah, the obstacle avoidance, I think you watch the video and think, well, what are you talking about? It didn't work well at all. Well, yeah, it did. You have to take my word for it. It just, this time of the day, the light conditions, I don't know why it didn't work better in the back. But I had it in that exact spot yesterday, and it worked great. Let's turn it around here and back it up. And let's just land it. I think this is an awesome drone. Well, come on, since the ground. This is a great little drone. Now it's gonna keep beeping at me that the battery's low. So let's go ahead and just turn it off. I really like those LED lights. I didn't realize that had that ability to switch those around. So yeah, this is awesome. So again, like I said, sound like a broken record. The obstacle avoidance absolutely works well, but it's gonna depend on the light, the time of the day. Right now, the sun glare is overwhelming the sensor, obviously, but in the back, I don't know why. Hold on, honey. All right, so I think that should wrap up the video, guys. If you're interested in this drone, I'll have a purchase link to Aliexpress, where it was, last I checked, it's a few dollars cheaper than Temu. I would highly recommend this. You cannot go wrong with this. This is the best little drone I've ever flown at this price range. Consider all the features that it does offer. Optical flow works great, camera's decent, obstacle avoidance works okay whenever, time of the day. And LED RGB lights look awesome. And you get brushless motors, all for between $30 and $40. All right, guys, that's the rest of the video. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. While you're click the bell, that way you're notified every time I do upload a new video. As always, guys, have a great day.
The power of the dark side.